Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be participating in Share the Love tag by Elm Colors. She has about 10 questions here. I really love this idea of sharing the love, especially now around the world. Hate seems to be winning. So I think that any love that we share, even if it's for a hobby, is a great idea. So I absolutely love this tag and I'm eager to go through it, right? I really want to share as much about my hobby as I can. So the first question is, share a finished page that you love and what you love about it. Now, like others, I could not pick one. I chose a few from Wildflower Folk by Christine Karen, and I love everything that I've colored in it. But this one is one of my favorites. I love that I used paper. All of that bandana is I collaged with some kind of paper that my sister-in-law made. And I just love that piece of it. I don't really like the background, but that's okay. I love her pink hair. I think that came out really well. I just love the color palette and honestly love the page. This is a recent page that I did that I absolutely love, and I just love the vibrancy of the red cloak against all of the muted colors. And her eyes came out really well too. I was able to get like a bunch of colors in it, and not that they look realistic, but more realistic than normal. And then I absolutely love her. I did her a long time ago. I copied someone that did blue skin. I don't know who that was. I just love the hair. I mean, everything about it. But, you know, it's mostly the drawing, the way the hair comes into the water. And it just is so beautiful. She's so beautiful. So, yeah, again, I think it's the colors that I really like in most of them. Then I chose another image. This is from Dramenvanger by Tomislav Tomic. And I picked this page, and I like this page also because of the color palette. I like the red against the turquoise. I think that's unusual color palette, but I think it looks really good. I think my cherries came out pretty well. I've seen some that are 10 times more realistic, but for me, this is really, really good. So I'm happy with how this came out. I even like the branch. I did that mostly with watercolor and just a little bit of shading with my pencils, but I even shaded as much as I could with the watercolor. So I think that came out pretty realistic looking. So I just love the color palette of this page. And the same is true of the last one that I chose from Pop Manga by Camilla Derrico, and it's this page. And again, just love the color palette, and I really love this metallic helmet, and with all the rust stains on it, it was the first time I've ever done it. I followed the color palette from My Colorful Country Life. She has a bunch of pencil brands and just different combinations, and metallic is the one that I really use, and this is with Polychromos. So those are the pages that I really love and what I loved about them. The next question is, share an uncolored page that you love and what you like most about it. Pretty much I can pick any page from this book. This is The Creatures of Ken Matsuda. It's a relatively new book to me, And the page I really love, I've got a couple marked that I may do this month, but this is the page, this is the spread that I really, really love. Now, someone has recently done it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I cannot remember who it is, but they did watercolor and it came out fantastic. And what I love about it, I would try to copy at least some of this. And what I love is the unconventional colors that the artist used in the koala. You know, there's blues, there's purples, there's yellows. I mean, there's greens. It just really looks like a lot of fun to do. I mean, if I'm able to put that much water on this paper, and I don't know if I can, this would be so cool to do, especially dropping like different colors in it. And I think it would be, I don't know, freeing is the right word for a coloring book, but I think I would have this feeling of freedom that I could just wildly drop colors in and still make it work the way Ken Matsuda made it work. So this is an uncolored page that I would really love to do. I am not doing it yet because it's my favorite color. It's my favorite page, but I'm going to try to start with some of these and add more water. I've only done one page in this book, and I added some water, but not a lot. I did the front cover, and I was just testing metallic paints, watercolor, different pencils, and alcohol inks. So this was kind of my test page to try to see what I can do, but I did not add a lot of water to it. So with this one, I'm going to try to add more water. And I'm going to try to do what Ken Matsuda did in that other one, which is add some unconventional colors. So this might be really, really fun to do. So we're going to see how that goes. And that's from The Creatures of Ken Matsuda. Okay, the next question is share a book you love and what draws you to that book. And if you've watched my channel at all, I mention it all the time. I really love this book. This is Wildflower Folk by Christine Caron. And it's an older book, but I've had this a couple of years, and I just love her images, and I love the paper in this book. It is slightly creamy, which I'm not sure if that adds to the vibrancy that I get when I color these images, but they've all come out absolutely beautifully. Yeah, so I think the paper is such a joy to work in. I have one of her Amazon printed books, and as lovely as these images are, I don't reach for it at all. The Amazon paper is absolutely awful to work with. It doesn't feel good, especially with pencils. Yeah, so I think a lot of this book has to do with the quality of the printing, the paper. This is the most recent one, and I definitely had some problems with my bokeh background because that is absolutely awful. But I like how she came out. So, that's my error. But, the colors just seem so vibrant, and whether I base them in alcohol marker, which I usually do with the skin now, not too many of the other elements, but yeah, mostly the skin. Here I did the cloak as well, and then went over it with pencil. In the beginning, I did not use any alcohol marker, but yeah, I think it really helps in this book. and it helps me with my skin, you know, it just makes it easier, you know. So I think that's basically, well, no, I've colored a few more things. This was one of my first attempts at darker skin tone. This is something I'm working on now. But yeah, I love this book. I mean, these images are so stunning. I mean, look at her. So I just love her art style and the quality of this book. I don't know if it's true that I heard a rumor that she might be coming out with a new compilation in this format with this paper quality. I hope that's true because I would really love to get that. And the other book that won't be a surprise because I've talked about it a couple of times in this video is this Creatures of Ken Matsuda. And I only, as I mentioned, colored one image. But what I like about this book is the paper is good. I like the paper. It feels kind of like, I guess, mythographic paper, or maybe even a little thicker than mythographic paper. But I like a few things about this book. First of all, the quality is excellent. But I love the freestyle or sketchy style. I'm not sure what the style is. It's partially realistic and partially not. I also really appreciate that some of them have this large copy of his artwork. So I really like that about it. But the images are just stunning. I do like working on wildlife sometimes. It's not my favorite thing, but it's hard to resist this book. And yeah, just the style is really unique. I think the way he paints things with unconventional colors, like not traditional necessarily. Yes, he'll get the orange in, but he'll throw some pink and purple in there too. Really is inspirational and makes me feel like you could be as creative as you want to in this book. Like, of course you could be creative in any book, but this one warrants a little bit more of thinking outside the box. And it probably is the way he draws some things and partially what he's done on the side. So this is the other favorite book of the moment. And this is a rather newer book for me. So I hope over time I still consider this, you know, one of my favorite books. The next question is, share a background you love. Was it the process of creating it or the end result that you loved? So for that question, I would like to show you two backgrounds. Oh, sorry. In Dunkelbunt by Sarah Richter. I really love this book as well. The quality of the paper is such thick cardstock and it takes so much abuse. But this is the first one, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see the nuances of the background on film, because this is a watercolor background, and I put a lot of layers and then dropped water on it, and there's what I was trying to get was a smoky textured background. So I think I achieved that. I like the way the gold mixes with the gray and the black. This was not my creation. I copied most of this from Sarah Richter's original artwork, but I do like the way I added this texture. And the same is true of this one. In this case, I did the same watercolor background, but I used salt in addition to dropping water in spots. So I created a different type of texture in the background, and I really like that. Now, I think it's both the process and the end result, and I probably like the process maybe a tiny bit more because I don't always get the result I want. it doesn't come out the way I had envisioned it. I mean, but I still like them all because the process is a very loose, free method. You know, you're dropping paint down. You're not caring that much whether something is blended or not blended. You know, well, I kind of prefer it when it's not. Then you drop water and it's kind of magical in a way because you don't know always, or I don't know. I don't always know the result I'm going to get. By dropping water, am I going to get a droplet mark? Is it going to bleed out? Like, what is it going to look like? And I really love that. And in this one, same thing, you know, the process is just so much fun. It is a little nerve-wracking at times, you know, you have to balance the two. But yeah, I just love that freedom that watercolor gives you. Now, to be totally honest, I do not like doing backgrounds at all. I suffer through them. I struggle through them. I never know what to do. I don't know whether to put a background in. And once I decide if I want to put one in, I don't know what to do with it most of the time. So I do like using watercolor for my backgrounds. Unfortunately, a lot of books can't take that. So it really has to be very good quality paper for you to add this much water, to add droplets and salt and things like that. So basically that's it. I enjoy the process. I love the results. Maybe the process a little bit more because it is very creative, freeing, and loose. So that's basically what I like about a few of the backgrounds I've done in this book. The next question is share what type of pages you love to color. Cutesy, portraits, realistic, fantasy, and why do you prefer that style? Well, I've had to bring in several books for this, or a few anyway. My style is varied. My absolute favorite is portraits. I really enjoy doing them. I love the look. I like when it's, you know, fairly realistic for the most part. But yeah, so, you know, any kind of portrait I really enjoy doing. I have a couple of portrait books that I really like working in, but I also really like working on flowers as well. Yeah, I just like the color, you know, the vibrancy that you get when you're working in florals. This is something that I did in September that I really, really liked. I just really like the challenge of like making something look somewhat realistic, like the berries or the leaves. And yeah, I really enjoy that. I have a couple of books that I work in that I really like. Layla Dooley is one of the artists that I really like her style in coloring flowers. It's not that realistic, so, you know, you could, although in some of them they do look pretty realistic. So I'm not really too sure what the style is. That's a whip. But yeah, I have a few done in this book. I have a few done in I can't remember the name of the other book. But yeah, so I love especially these title pages. I mean, I'm tempted to always just do one of these little things because it takes up so little time. And this is really did not do well with that page. I'm not sure if I'm going back to it, but so I like something like this. I also like doing some sort of fantasy, and Dramenwanger is one, you know, that it's more fantasy, you know, with creatures. And yeah, I'm not too fond of like buildings, like houses. I did like this one, but it's not my favorite thing to color. But I do like a more fantasy themed book. I really like Camilla Derrico in this style. I guess this is kind of fantasy manga style. I'm not really too sure again what like these monsters would be considered, but they're fun. I like this book because it is a compilation book, so you get, you know, her different styles, because she does have like some things that are more sketchy, some things that are not, but I do like this fantasy theme. And the last one I'd like to show that I enjoy doing is more on the darker side. I don't want to say horror because this is not horror, although some of these images definitely look it. But, you know, this mythical, darker, like the dragons are fun. I mean, these take forever to do, but I really do enjoy them. I said horror because like this one was one of my favorite last year. It was a really long-standing whip and I was able to complete it. So I was really, really happy about that. Finishing such a long-standing whip, and I like the way it came out. This is more in the horror realm to me. There's a few in the back that I don't know if I just did them very horror-like. I like these troll guys. That came out really good. This page, love my pink, I guess it's a water dragon, sea creature, or whatever. But like this one definitely feels more horror oriented to me. And sometimes I enjoy doing them. You know, I don't know, maybe it's a blacker mood once in a while where I feel like, yeah, I want to color something like that. So my style is still quite varied. I usually work on 2 or 3 images at a time when I'm coloring. And I try to mix it up. Like I don't want to work on 3 portraits at the same time. So I do try to mix up what I'm working on. So, okay, the next question is, share what objects you love to color, like hair, florals, landscapes, and what are you excited to color? Sorry guys, I hope I'm not sniffling too much because I am catching a cold, but yeah, sorry about that. But in portraits, my favorite thing is skin and hair. I'm trying to work on my eyes as well to try to get them to look more realistic, but I really enjoy that process of doing skin and hair. And then the rest is, you know, okay, I need to work on the clothing because they can't be naked. And just the side elements are things that I enjoy less about it. So I have to make sure that I don't work on just the skin and hair right away and then leave everything else, because then I'm less likely to finish the page. Although I've never not completed a portrait. I don't have any whips in my portrait books, but I have to balance what I find more boring with what I really enjoy coloring. And I've been experimenting a little bit more. I usually work with just pencil when I'm doing skin and hair, but as I said in the other book, Wildflower Folk, I've been starting to base the skin in alcohol marker. I've been experimenting with watercolor, which is what I used here, including trying to get the shadows in. So I really enjoy hair and skin a lot. I'm not too crazy about the makeup part. I don't really know how to do it in real life, and I don't really know how to apply makeup in a coloring book either. But the rest I really enjoy. As I mentioned, I really like florals. I showed you that already. What do I like about it? I think I mentioned it already. I just like the vibrancy of the colors. I don't try to make anything look really realistic, but I try to add in shading that I might really see in a flower. Yeah, I like flowers a lot. The next question is, share what embellishments you love to use, i.e. stickles, loose glitter, metallic watercolor, drawing, collage. I really love my gel pens. And particularly, I really enjoy the Jelly Roll glaze pens, as well as their Moonlight. I like the Moonlight because they're opaque, but I like the glaze because I like the raised effect I get on things. I don't know why I like it. I can be very tactile, so sometimes I really like to touch my pages and feel the paper, and this kind of adds to the fun of it. I really like the look as well. So that's something that I really like to use. I used it a lot here in the background. I used it in this page in the background. I also, when I do my gold, I usually do that with pencil or in some cases with watercolor. And I like to put a layer of the Spectrum Noir clear glitter over it. Again, you can't really see it too well on camera, but I like the look. I enjoy the depth in color when you do the gold yourself instead of using like a gold gel pen or something. So I do try to use pencil, or as I said, watercolor, but I like adding that extra element to make it look shinier. So my gel pens are definitely something I use quite often. I use it a lot when I'm doing jewelry as well. Like in this one, I've used all glitter gel pens on her jewelry and on that headpiece. That one I don't think I did. I don't always put glitter, but you know, I try to add some, like even if it's just in the border as it is in this one. I use the Signo white gel pen, gold gel pen there. Here, I think this is metallic watercolor, if you could see it, in these dots that are on her and around her. So that is definitely my favorite medium. I also have started to really like collage. I showed you this earlier in the video, and I just happen to have this book here, so I'm going to show you again. I mean, I have a lot more examples, but it is something that is new to me. I haven't worked on with this collage too often, but I really absolutely loved using this paper. And I've used other things, like I print things off of the internet, like it might be, you know, a butterfly. I'll cut the butterfly out and I'll put a couple of butterflies around, you know, especially if I feel like there's a lot of empty space in the background. I think now that I'm saying butterflies, maybe butterflies would have looked really good on this one because it's so hippie-ish. But yeah, so I've been starting to get into collage. And I think I've been most inspired by, is it Color and Collage with M's or Collage and Color with M's, E-M-S. And she is so creative and so good at it. She adds so much to her pages. I'm going to show you one where I kind of went a little overboard with it. So I'm still trying to balance out when, how, and how much collage I should do. So let me get that book. The last page I did in Fairy Tales and Folklore is an example of when I completely went overboard with adding too much. In this case, it was just the toys and the elves. I added the table, the brickwork, and this window frame. The frame itself I drew in, but then I got, I just printed off the internet a snowy scene and I added that. I added people's names in the book. It just was too much. But I don't think I really needed this. If I had just done the brick wall, it probably would have been fine. But I decided to add in some, you know, I must have been inspired by Emma and something that she did and thought, okay, I want to do something like that. So this is a case where I kind of went overboard with adding too much to the original artwork. So yeah, so that's another example of the collage that I'm trying to do right now. So that was the embellishments that I love to use. Regarding colors, the next question is share what color you love to use on your pages and is it your favorite color? And for the most part, I love working with pinks. I love orange, pink, red. You know, I add it in unusual spots. I really love a red car. I think I do use the colors I really enjoy looking at. In some cases, like in this book, you know, we have the example of what Lana Green has created. And for the most part, I kind of stick to it. I do change it a little bit, but you know, I might make something more red, like orange is one of my favorite colors. It's all kind of red, orange, pink. So there's a lot of pink, there's orange. I do love the color aqua, but it's not something that I use as often as I use pinks, reds. Her lips are red. This is kind of like pinkish. There's the aqua with the pink again. I'm adding pink to, you know, the green. So yeah, pinks and reds are my favorite colors and I use them as much as I can in the books that I have. You know, in this case, you know, you're referencing some of the actual flower does look like. I don't always stay in that color theme, but yeah, again, I've got pinks everywhere. I've got reds. You know, like if there's a poppy, you know, I'm definitely coloring it red and orange. So yeah, I do like using, basically for the third time, the colors I like seeing in life and that I like wearing, that I like driving. So yeah, there's another one. So that's it for the color. Okay, the next question is, share what hobbies you love other than coloring, and are you an indoor cat or more outdoorsy? Now, I'm probably the type of cat that likes to stay indoors and on the couch most of the time, but likes that little door that I can go out whenever I want to. So I probably characterize myself as a lazy cat. So yeah, I'm more on the couch, in the car, you know, that kind of thing. But some of the other hobbies that I have all work with my hands. As I mentioned, I could be kind of tactile. I like to touch material. You know, when I'm going through a store, I will touch like every shirt just to see what it feels like. And that comes through in some of my hobbies as well. I do like knitting and crocheting. I learned how to crochet when I was like 8 years old, but I prefer knitting and I just like the way it looks. This is a shawl that I did a long time ago, probably like 10 years ago. It's got some holes in it now. I don't know how to fix that, but yeah, I took a class. There used to be a knitting shop in the town next to mine, and this woman helped me create this pattern on this shawl, and I absolutely love it. So, yeah, I have a pair of gloves that I really like that I use. And then I do like watercolor. And most of my stuff is in frames, but, you know, I do a varied type of watercolor. This is a tree that I really like the way it came out. Not really too concerned with the background because it's really, this is the focus. And I did this owl. Sorry, you can see the lights. I did this owl. So yeah, I enjoy my watercolor as well. And again, it's still working with my hands. So that's what I like to do in my spare time. Right now, I've been coloring for, I think, 3 years, and it seems to be the hobby that's sticking to me the most. With the other hobbies, I never really truly forget them. I might not pick up my knitting needles for a year, and then I will just pick them up and knit something and really enjoy it. You know, I haven't done watercolor for a little while, but I still have all of my stuff and I love it and I'm going to come back to it. So that's the hobbies that I enjoy doing. The last question is share what you love most about coloring and our wonderful coloring community. I think I've mentioned before that I have panic disorder, and generally I'm an anxious person. And I think that the coloring grounds me. It gives my mind something to focus on, especially if I'm just sitting on the couch. It seems like I can't just sit on the couch and watch television anymore. I need to be doing something else, whether it's a crossword puzzle or coloring or something like that. So I think that I like the way my brain focuses, and I'm able to be calmer than I normally am. And the coloring really, really helps me with it. It also helps me with my creativity. I do draw on and off, and so I am extremely critical of my drawing. And that's what happens with my watercolor. I started to get too critical that nothing was coming out the way I wanted it to. And I don't get that when I'm coloring. Yeah, I might not like something, but I don't feel like it's self-deprecating at all. I just feel like, okay, this one didn't come out that great, and that's fine too. Like not everything is going to come out great, and I seem to accept that in coloring in a way I did not accept that in my drawing or my watercolor. That's why I'm taking a break with the watercolor, and I hope that's going to fix that issue. I did not have it in the beginning. I don't know what started happening, but I just really got too critical with that. So with coloring, I get that creative outlet without the self-torture that artists, usually develop. So yeah, I love my coloring. I really, really do. And I love sharing it. And that's why I love this tag. And what do I love about the wonderful coloring community? First of all, everyone is so giving of their techniques, their talent, what they love about the hobby, how to do things. So I am constantly learning from people. I do watch a lot of YouTube videos, a lot. I really, really enjoy them. I sometimes just put them on as company. Like I will put someone on, they're talking while they're coloring, I'm listening while I'm coloring, and I really like that as well. So there's some kind of community involved in it that I feel like there are other people that enjoy this hobby as much as I do, and they love sharing it as much as I do. So I enjoy the learning aspect, I enjoy the camaraderie of it, and just the fun YouTube videos that I really enjoy watching, like the completed pages, and that's inspirational. So there's so many things about this community that I absolutely love. This is the first year that I'm doing my YouTube videos, and everyone has been so, so, so nice. Like I do have a troll who, by the way, is back. I'll talk about it again in my next video, but I kind of missed her because I find it so extremely funny that someone wastes time like this. But the last comment was not about my accent or my voice. This one was, I think it was, God, you are so boring. And sweetheart, if you're watching, you don't know the half of it, man. I am 10 times more boring than this. This is me excited. So you could just imagine how boring I really am. So I don't know. If you thought that was an insult, you missed that again. But yeah, so I even have a troll, which I enjoy. That's just the one negative person I have. Everybody else has been absolutely gorgeous. I love all the comments. Even if someone is just trying to tell me like, I wouldn't do it that way, I would have done it this way. And I appreciate that because that helps me think about, well, could I have done something differently? And just all the lovely comments that people leave. And again, that's back to feeling like it's part of a community, that I'm talking to people, I'm meeting people, and like the buddy colors are awesome as well. So yeah, I think this community is absolutely gorgeous. And I really appreciate having you all. So Thank you everyone who stayed this long or watched this video at all. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.